Hello, Sangha. Welcome to the Abbott's address for Friday. This is March, whatever it is, 20th. Yeah, that's right, March 20th. So these videos seem to be useful for people. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback and comments that people are enjoying it, and I'm certainly enjoying putting them together, so we'll keep them going. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about the process of doing contemplative reading. So a number of people have been asking about that, how does this work? So here's the text. Okay, right now we're reading Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche's Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism, a formative book for me and a controversial teacher, but also a brilliant one at the same time. And here's the deal. Okay, you don't read this thing like you're reading through a bunch of Facebook posts or the New York Times or something. You want to read this in a very particular way. And there's a long tradition of this. In the West, there's a Jewish tradition called Haggadah, which, as I'm told, in the time of Christ Jesus, there was very common. In the 6th century, Saint Benedict, who created Western monasticism as a communal force in Europe, used what he called Lectio Divina, which means, divine reading. And it's a fixture in the monastic schedule. And this was a big influence on me. When I was a younger man, I would go and do these retreats at Catholic monasteries, Benedictine, Cistercian, and others. And it was a big influence, and it stuck with me. I've basically kept this going pretty much ever since. It's a big part of my way, I guess, so to speak. And there's a few guidelines to it. Okay. First of all, you need to have the right kind of setup and the right kind of attitude. Now, I'm assuming that we're talking in terms of the morning liturgy that's been handed out for Ango. So you've already done your intentions, your liturgy, all the way up and through the Heart Sutra, and you've already done some Zazen, right? And so the setup's there. You're at your altar. Everything is cool. You're in the right space for this. It's taken in the correct mind. And then from there, you want to make sure, first of all, that you're reading something that's good for you. Okay, and in the beginning of your Dharma studies, I really recommend that you run books by me or Reverend Doan, and make sure that there's something that we feel is the best thing for you to be reading. There's a lot of things that are really good, and at certain stages of a person's practice, there are some texts that are just amazingly great to definitely read right now. And so you want to make sure that you're reading something, that you're spending your time on something that is, home plate for you. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, given that the setup is in place, you want to make sure that you've got a good, solid text that's going to be useful and fruitful for this effort. And then you begin reading. So this easiest way is start at the first page and work through. Okay, it doesn't have to be like that, but that tends to be the one that I would recommend for people who are new to this. Later, your intuition can guide you to different texts and pages and chapters and stuff, and it's a very interesting process. You just sort of pull the threads. But to start out, and definitely for Ango, I'd like to hold up this particular text and read it through kind of synchronously. And so from there, you let your intuition find a point that resonates, or you read until you get to a point that really something about this point jumps at you and wants some time. What I do is I have a journal that I've been keeping journals for decades. I can go to my shelf and pull them right off and look from a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And what I'll do is capture in there the little chunk or nugget that is speaking to me. Again, we're not trying to blitz through the book. It's not a speed reading thing. It's the opposite. Slow reading, right? So a little fragment, copy it down. I usually circle that, and then, okay, that's the source. Almost like a mind map kind of deal. And then I might draw things from that, and I'll start to ponder and muse. What does this mean to me? How do I understand this? Does this relate to my Dharma practice? How? Some things are vexing and problematic and they don't make sense. And that's just how they are right now. Okay. Some things you obviously know right away what that is. Well, be careful, but okay, you know. And then most stuff is in the middle ground. There's some nourishment there, but I have to kind of savor it and feel and let yourself contemplatively sit with it. You might try taking the fragment that you're reading and just put it in your center, put it in your one point, and just breathe with it for a little while and see what excuse me, see what emerges from that. Very, very useful stuff, and capture them in that journal. I really recommend it. Once you've come to some sense of being saturated, this is a completed thing here. Again, basically one dharmic point. I really don't recommend that you try to read 20 pages at one sitting. It's too much for what I'm talking about. One dharmic point is plenty, right? So when you come to a saturation of it, you might settle down for a breath or two and then offer a gata or a spontaneous phrase. Something like, through these efforts may all beings come to full awakening, and may I be of more use in alleviating suffering and anguish in this world. Something sincere and spontaneous and personal to you like that, to make it dedication to what you just did. And then lastly, slip into a few moments of sitting. Just a breath or two if you have to, it's fine. And then whatever comes next, let it unfold. Typically for me, it's trying to get my girls up and ready for the day and everything like that, okay? But in this way, every 24 hours, I'm back at that same spot. I always wake up pretty much at the same time. I'm always at my home altar pretty much at the same time, doing my morning liturgy and sitting and study. And it becomes a real fixture in the day. It's a very stable, disciplined thing, and it's an incredibly useful one, no matter what is going on. Good times, neutral times, tragic times. This is a fixture, at least for me, and I offer it to you. If you do it for, an ongo, you'll probably do it for life, unless not. So there we are. So divine reading. I hope you take it up. Contemplative reading. I hope you practice it. Just a few quick announcements. The membership drive is almost completed. On April 5th, that week, we'll have a formal recognition of all temple members. Remember, these are renewed annually, so if you haven't taken the time yet to do so, please do fill out a temple membership thing and make your fill that all out and take care of that so we can acknowledge you for this year. Of course, people can become members anytime, but the drive ends at the end of this month. We have a Zazen Kai on March 28th from 9 to 5. That's a day's retreat at the temple. It's an ideal time to really plug in and deepen your practice. I hope everybody can come and join in for that. April 9th, my Zen Arts Ensemble is going to be in concert here at the University of Toledo in the recital hall. I think it's a free show. It's at 7 o'clock p.m. I have selected some text from the Abbotts Sutra, which is very dear to me. That'll be the source for this composition I've been working on. I hope you come and enjoy. It'd be great to look out and see a bunch of Sangha there. I would just be tickled. And then finally, April 19th, this mountain seat ceremony is happening. Oh my God, how about that? This is an amazing time for our community. This is really a time of new beginning and real growth. I'd love to see everybody there. Okay, contemplative reading, take it up. Don't just blitz through these things. It's not a race. If you're like me at all, you'll be doing this for as long as you're breathing air. So there's no rush. Just get the nutrition in and let yourself settle. The Dharma is vast, it's profound, it can't be captured in words or letters, but there's a lot of them out there that are worth the time. I hope you take it. Thank you, everybody.